What's up guys, my name is Stoody. I'd like to welcome you all back to another video. In today's video I am going to be doing my AFL 2024 ladder without match fixing. So this is how the ladder would have looked like if there was no match fixing this year. I've gone through every single game of the 2024 AFL season and given teams wins and losses based on who deserves it. So if a team does get robbed a game, they get the win, not the loss. So there's a lot of match fixing in the AFL. It's absolutely disgusting and has completely ruined the AFL. And because of that, it has affected the ladder big time. Now, there's a lot of teams that should have made the 8 that haven't made the 8 due to the match fixing. And there's heaps of teams that have made the 8 that should not have made the 8 due to the match fixing. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to say who I've got in a certain position, what their record is. And then I'm going to say where the AFL have that team on their rigged version of the ladder. So you guys might remember I did this about mid-season. So here's the full-on end-of-season update. Then I guess you can decide the premiers from here. Alright, so in 18th position of the real ladder, I have North Melbourne with a 1-22 record. And that only win, I believe, is against West Coast at Optus. That's their only real win of the season, but according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, they're in 17th with a 3-20 record. So up a spot, but really should only have one win, not 3, as they were protected big time throughout the year. Moving on to 17th position on the real AFL ladder, I have the West Coast Eagles. They're also a 1-22 record, with their only legit win coming against North Melbourne at the Blundstone Arena. Funny how the two clear worst teams in the league, their only real win was against each other. Funny, the away game. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, West Coast apparently finished 16th with a 5-18 record. So as you can see, West Coast were gifted 4 wins throughout the regular season. Yeah, that's not a huge difference in terms of ladder positions, but in terms of wins, it's a pretty decent difference. So in 16th on the real AFL ladder, I have St Kilda with a 6-17 record. According to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, St Kilda are 12th with a 11-12 record. So that means that St Kilda have been gifted at least 5 games throughout the year. There's a difference of 4 in terms of the ladder positions, which doesn't seem that high. But the fact that they've been gifted at least 5 wins is quite alarming. And quite obvious that there's some serious issues with the AFL. So just to keep in mind that there are teams that might get rigged one game, but then they might get robbed one game, but then might get gifted another. So for some teams it might balance out. But for others, there'll be a big difference. And for St Kilda, there's certainly a big difference. And speaking of big differences, in 15th on the real AFL ladder, this is a massive difference. I have Hawthorn with a 7-16 record. According to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Hawthorn finished 7th with a 14-9 record. So that means that Hawthorn were gifted 7 games throughout the 2024 season. They're by far the most overrated team in the AFL. And the fact that they had to be gifted 7 games, it just shows how garbage Hawthorn really are. So moving on to 14th, I have Essendon with an 8-15 record on the real ladder. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, they sit in 11th with an 11-1 record. But obviously I stripped them of that draw that I had with Collingwood because Collingwood were robbed in that game. So I gave Essendon the loss and Collingwood the win. In 13th on the real AFL ladder, this is a massive difference as well. I have Brisbane with an 8-14-1 record. I decided to keep the draw between Brisbane and Adelaide because I didn't watch that game, so I don't know if that game was rigged or not. It's hard to tell. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Brisbane apparently finished 5th with a 14-8-1 record. So that means Brisbane were gifted 6 wins and a draw, or not a draw, just 6 wins. which is quite disgusting. I was saying all throughout the year, Brisbane are not a top 8 calibre side. They're being gifted by the match fixing, and this just fucking proves it. I mean, they're they're the 13th best team in the league in reality, and the AFL gifted them wins to get them up to 5th, which is extremely disgusting. And the match fixing is just horrific. And here's another massive difference. I don't know, you might hear that word quite a bit throughout this video. But in 12th on the real AFL ladder, I have Geelong with a 10 and 13 record. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Geelong apparently finished 3rd with a 15 and 8 record. So that means Geelong were gifted 5 games. Not only that, they are 9 spots higher than what they should be. So that just proves how much of a difference match fixing makes to an AFL season. I mean, teams can be robbed a premiership because of this. Yeah, it's just absolutely disturbing. So moving on to 11th position of the real AFL ladder, I have the Adelaide Crows with a 10, 12 and 1 record. According to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Adelaide are 15th with an 8 and 14 record and 1 draw. So that means Adelaide have actually been robbed 2 games for the season. So yeah, I'd be pretty pissed off if I was an Adelaide supporter, but maybe it was a blessing in disguise. At least you get pick 4, not some shitty middle of the road pick. But in 10th position of the real AFL ladder, this one's probably a little bit of a surprise to some. I have the Gold Coast Suns with an 11 and 12 record. I thought they'd be a lot lower in this one, but apparently not. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Gold Coast finished 13th with an 11 and 12 record. So I've got the exact same record as the AFL. So that's the first same record. We haven't had the same position yet. But yeah, we'll wait and see if that actually happens at some point. So moving on to 9th position of the real AFL ladder, I have Melbourne with a 13 and 10 record. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Melbourne apparently finished 14th with an 11 and 12 record. So that means Melbourne have been robbed 2 games, but it also means that Melbourne have been robbed 5 positions on the ladder. So obviously Melbourne look a lot worse than they actually were. Moving on to the top 8 of the real AFL ladder. In 8th position, I have Fremantle with a 13 and 10 record. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Fremantle finished 10th with a 12, 10 and 1 record. I stripped them of their draw due to Collingwood getting robbed in that game, so I gave Collingwood the win for that game. And obviously Fremantle have been robbed a couple of times this year, so that's why on the real ladder they have 1 extra win. But obviously Fremantle have been gifted games as well, so that's why it's sort of balanced out in the end. Moving on to 7th position of the real AFL ladder, I've got the Western Bulldogs with a 14 and 8 record. But according to the rigged version of the ladder, 14 and 9. 14 and 9, not 14 and 8. But according to the rigged version of the AFL's ladder, the Western Bulldogs finished 6th with a 14 and 9 record. So exact same record, so that's the second time we've got the exact same record, but still not the exact same position. But it's only one off, so the Bulldogs were pretty close. They finished around about where they deserved. Moving on to 6th of the real AFL ladder, I have Port Adelaide with a 14 and 8 record. According to the rigged version of the ladder, Port Adelaide finished 2nd with a 16 and 7 record, and you can see in finals that Port don't really belong in the top 8. And that just proves it because they've been gifted. They don't really belong in the top 4. But that just proves it because they've been gifted a spot in the top 2, when in reality they're more of a 6th place team. Moving on to 5th position of the real AFL ladder, I have Carlton with a 15 and 8 record. So a lot of you guys will be very surprised with that. I'm pretty surprised because Carlton seem to be a protected team, but apparently they've been robbed 2 games. So yeah, that's pretty insane to think about. Carlton have actually been robbed a bit. Holy shit. But anyway, moving on to the top 4, and I don't think there'll be any surprises here. Are there big differences? Yes. But are there any surprises? No. 4 position, I have the GWS Giants on the real ladder with a 16-7 record. According to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, GWS Giants also finished 4th, so we finally have the exact same ladder position. But we don't have the same record according to the record. GWS have been robbed 1 game. So at least GWS finished where they deserved. Moving on to 3rd of the real AFL ladder, I have Sydney with an 18-5 record. According to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Sydney finished on top with a 17-6 record. So that means Sydney have been robbed a game, but Sydney should not have finished on top because there's 2 teams that have been robbed way worse than Sydney that deserve to be in the top 2. So in 2nd on the real AFL ladder, this one is the biggest difference you'll ever see in your life. I have Richmond with a 20-3 record. But according to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Richmond apparently finished 18th with a 2-21 record. So that just shows how often Richmond are fucked over. And if you guys want to know why I'm leaving the AFL community, this is the exact fucking reason. That means Richmond have been robbed in 18 games this season. That's right, 18. That has to be a fucking world record or some shit. That is fucking disgusting. Richmond need to sue the absolute shit out of the AFL and Andrew Dillon and Gillon McLachlan from the past robberies from when he was CEO. Like, how the fuck can the AFL community let this shit slide? That is why I'm leaving. Fuck this shit community. Richmond not only have been robbed 18 games, but they've been robbed 17 positions on the ladder. How fucked up is that? But anyway, let's just move on to the first position. And on top of the ladder of the real AFL ladder, it's a monster difference as well. But I've got Collingwood with a 21-2 record. According to the AFL's rigged version of the ladder, Collingwood apparently finished 9th with a 12-9-2 record. So the 2 draws that they had, they got robbed in those games, so those counted as wins. So that means that in total they have been robbed 9 games. That's right, 9. Fuck me drunk. How the fuck can teams be robbed like double figure games? It's fucked up. And just so much proof of match fixing. Like, if you guys watch this video and can't see that the sport is rigged, then you need to be locked up in a mental asylum, because all you gotta do is watch the game. You'll see how the umpires manipulate the matches and all that shit. Give teams free kicks, the teams that they want to win. So the only reason teams like Hawthorn, Geelong, and Brisbane are in the top 8 is because of match fixing. They're obviously not top 8 caliber teams. And then obviously the reasons why teams like Richmond and Collingwood aren't top 8 teams or top 2 teams is also due to match fixing. They're the teams that get robbed the most, as you can tell. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. This has been a heavily requested video, so hopefully you guys liked it. And I do apologize that this video took way longer than expected to come out. I mean, this video was meant to come out like as soon as the regular season finished, not like during the preliminary finals. I don't even know if this video will be up until like Sunday or something, because I'm going to be too fucking tired to edit this, I think. So yeah, I'm pretty tired during the week, except for Sunday and Mondays when I have my weekend off. Other than that, I'm pretty tired, and it's a real grind to edit videos and make videos and that sort of thing. So yeah, I just enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment like this. Be sure to become a channel member. Just click the join button next to my name. Also, be sure to subscribe to my premium King Gods with Nick. Link to his channel is in the description. Also, be sure to subscribe to my other YouTube channels. Be sure to subscribe to my podcast channel, King Snags with Stoody. Also, be sure to subscribe to my second YouTube channel, Stoody Archives. Links to both of those will be in the description. Also, be sure to join my Discord server. It is called Australian Sports Community. Link to that is in the description. Also, be sure to follow me on my other social media accounts. I have Twitter and also have TikTok. The username for all those is Stoody YT, and links to all those will also be in the description. I hope you had a good day, and I'll see you all in the next video.